let's talk about Bitcoin and its projected breakout. There are still a lot of bulls out there thinking that, hey, 35,000 is right around the corner, especially when you see the number of holders increasing. Now you have 1 million, more than 1 million addresses holding at least one Bitcoin. That's not a coincidence. It's going up more and more and more every single day because of all the shenanigans that people are hearing about. They're like, no, I want to opt out. I want to opt out of the USD. I want to opt out of the financial system. I want to opt out of my bank. Opting out and opting into Bitcoin, right? That's what's happening. And currently, if you look at where Bitcoin is right now and you look at, well, what happened in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, pretty similar coming off from top, right? Forming that bottom, now recovery, but recovery is never right away, right? And the way we're going, right, we may be here a little bit longer, and then boom, we could be right back above to $50,000, and then maybe retrace a little bit afterwards. But of course, long term, Cathie Wood, ARK Invest, they think this is barely scratching the surface. By 2030, Bitcoin's worst case scenario, according to ARK Invest, is $258,500. That's absolute worst case scenario. But let's say neutral, just a base case. Bitcoin should be at $682,800. Think about it. That's middle ground. And in the best case scenario, bull case, 1.5 million for each Bitcoin. We're talking about 2030, okay? We're not talking about like 2130. We're not talking about over 100 years. This is just within 7 years. According to ARK Invest, the worst case scenario in 7 years, Bitcoin is going to be at $250,000. But best case scenario, 1.5 million. And that's because they believe Bitcoin is going to suck up liquidity from all these other assets, like corporate treasuries or nation state treasuries or institutional investments or digital gold. I mean, there's just a lot to pull from, right? So this is why you need to stay strong and ignore the FUD. There's a lot of FUD short term, but long term, this is where we are heading. Looking good. Looking pretty good. Now, what about Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin's on-chain metrics have never, ever been better. On-chain metrics for Bitcoin continues to signal that we are in a new bull market. Okay, not the tail end. At the very beginning, we have broken out of the last 4-year cycle, and we are moving forward. And this one, our HODL scale, shows that, yeah, Bitcoin is doing the same thing it has done in previous cycles. When we come off on bottoms, right, we don't just immediately go up. There's fluctuations, right? And according to this last top that we had in 2021, we didn't have a blow-off top. We didn't break 100,000. We should have. And the reason being, again, it's due to rates. The Fed, Powell, he announced in December that he was going to raise rates in 2023. And that's why everything came crashing down. But we kind of missed that. We kind of missed that peak of $100,000. So you could see, obviously, no blow off top. But doesn't mean that we're not going to get it this time around. But we are definitely coming up from bottom, right? And right now, the whales, they're just accumulating. What I've always been preaching is don't give away your life-changing wealth or your financial freedom to the whales. A lot of them, they know how to manipulate the market. A lot of them know how to drive fear into the hearts of crypto holders. And you know what? They just keep accumulating while the smaller retail guys, unfortunately, they fall for FUD. And they fall for fear. And you know what? Stay strong because there are better days, much better days coming. Short term, there's still a lot of fractal patterns between what's happening right now versus previous cycles, but also fractal patterns versus Apple, S&P 500. I guess if you look hard enough, you're going to find some kind of pattern, right? But there are a lot of patterns comparing what we're going through right now to previous bottoms and previous recoveries, like back in 2015 and 2018, right? We haven't seen that local top yet. A lot of people are predicting that local top is coming somewhere in the summer, June, July, August, right? Where will it be? $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. We don't know quite yet, but it's coming. And you know what? What about the next top? We don't know how high that is either. Look at it, before there was a 12,000% rise, and then you had a 1,700% rise. This time around, 1,000%, maybe 800%, 500%, whatever it may be, it's going to be much higher than it is now, right? So, Biden, McCarthy, hopeful on a debt ceiling deal, right? There are a lot of talks about the debt ceiling and debt ceiling crisis, right? When is it going to end, right? I'm even sick of talking about it, but look at this. Look at this. The Treasury's balance sheet, 87 billion a day ago, now down to 52 billion. So the U.S. Treasury is about to run out of money. That's no good at all. So that is why the debt ceiling needs to be raised, so that the U.S. can print more money. That's what it comes down to. It's almost at zero, guys. It's almost at zero. So this is not a good situation, which is why the U.S. market, stock market, crypto market kind of stands still. But, we just don't know, right? Well, I kind of know. I mean, they're going to resolve it, right? They're not going to risk throwing the U.S. economy into Armageddon. But with that said, inflation and endless printing, it never ends well, right? Look at Venezuela. As bad as it is in Venezuela, they have declared they're not going to use the U.S. dollar anymore. They're getting off the USD. This is after hearing Argentina, when they're doing trade, right? They're actually paying for things in yuan. So now you got another country in Latin America that's talking about, well, no, they have declared they're getting off the dollar. What's going on with that, right? See, this is why as a country you got to be responsible with your money. Not that Venezuela is a good example because they suffer from hyperinflation, but if you let things go out of hand, right, out of control with that money printer, bad things happen, right? So now, you got countries that's starting to get off the USD. You still have inflation. You have this endless printing cycle because of the debt ceiling and the U.S., out of money. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going for Bitcoin, right?